What's going on, guys? Jacob Ober here. So last night the NFL released its official NFL all-time 100 team. Like, it had like the 100 best players in league history, and they took like 10 players from each position and made a list like the 10 greatest players at this position, etc., etc. And the final position they unveiled was quarterback, and unfortunately, and not so surprisingly, but still to my disgust, Aaron Rodgers was left off of this list, as was Drew Brees, which I also thought was extremely shocking. But I'm gonna try and name most of the players. I don't know if I can remember all of them at the top of my head of who was on the list, but I do remember there's Brady, Montana, Favre, Manning, Unitas, Staubach, who else? Elway. Who were those last three? Sammy Baugh, Otto Graham, and gosh, there was one more. Um, Well, I mean, you get the point, though. I mean, a lot of them are from previous eras of the game, which is understandable, of course. I mean, there's really only one or two modern era quarterbacks on this list, and that's Manning and Brady. I get it. I understand why they wanted to put some of the older guys on here because the NFL has existed for 100 years, not just the past 10 or 20 years. But at the same time, it's like Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented players in football history, and he's a human highlight reel, and his statistics are some of the greatest in not only in football history but like sports history. Like, he has almost 400 touchdown passes, and he's going to get there most likely before he reaches 100 interceptions. And he has the highest quarterback rating of all time, and he's the king of the Hail Mary, and he's a two-time MVP, eight-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. But I mean, I just don't understand why he was left off the list. And Brees too. Like, honestly, I don't know how Drew Brees was left off of this list either. Like, you can debate Brees and Rodgers, but the fact of the matter is both of them should have been on this list for sure. Drew Brees is the all-time leader in passing yards, and he's the all-time leader in passing touchdowns. How do you leave off a guy like that? Throughout the entire course of NFL history, he is the number one quarterback in passing yards and passing touchdowns. How do you leave that off of the list? I don't get it. And like I said, I understand what their approach was. They wanted to kind of include players from all eras, going back all the way to like the 30s and 40s with Sammy Baugh and Otto Graham. And I understand what those guys did for the game. I mean, I've done my fair share of NFL research into the history of the NFL, and those guys were certainly revolutionary. But it just doesn't. It just irritates me a lot because seeing guys from that era on this, when you know a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you could put him in that era and he'd, tear the thing up and light it on fire. I mean, it just irritates me. And there's another player too, and there's not. I guess I definitely object to having, especially Sammy Baugh on the list. I'd be more inclined to have Graham on the list because of his just sheer number of achievements. The guy won like 7 championships in 10 years before the Super Bowl. But John Elway. John Elway did not deserve to be on this list. Seeing John Elway on this list really irritated me. And that's not to say that John Elway isn't a great quarterback. John Elway is a really, really great quarterback. But he was not even close to as great as a lot of people remember him to be. If you go back and look at his statistics, 1 4,000-yard season, 0 30 touchdown seasons, almost a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Almost a 1-to-1. The dude got, and as much as I don't like bringing in team achievements to help my argument when it comes to quarterbacks, when you get blown out three straight times in the Super Bowl, as bad as your team is, I don't think you deserve to be worthy of a top 10 quarterback of all time, especially when both of your rings came when you got carried to the Super Bowl. And that's not to say that those rings are devalued either, but to see what John Elway did, and the only time that he was able to actually get a ring in his career was when he had a guy like Terrell Davis, like, I don't know. And really, I mean, like I said, the 1 4,000-yard season, the 0 30 touchdown seasons, every single year of his career, he had double-digit interceptions. That's not top 10 worthy of all time to me. It truly is not. especially when you have the 3 Super Bowl blowouts in the early stages of your career, which is, he had a bad team. I guess I'll give him a pass for that. But still, like, the statistics, they don't hold up. And you want to say, oh, it's a different era. Go ahead. But just compare it to other guys of that era. Joe Montana was far better than John Elway in his time in the league. Dan Marino, far better. Warren Moon, far better. Those are some of the best quarterbacks of the 1980s, and they were all better than Elway. But, I can't believe that they actually left off Breeze and Rodgers. Like, I don't understand why that happened. Like, to an extent, you can have certain eras, and I understand they wanted to conclude everything into the 100 years thing, but still, Aaron Rodgers is better than Sammy Ball. Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Sammy Ball. I will say that right now. I don't care if I've never seen Sammy Ball play. I go back and look at the statistics, and in that era, as revolutionary as he was, he would not last a second in today's league. And Aaron Rodgers could go back in that era and probably tear it to shreds with how talented and athletic he is. Same with Drew Brees. And, like I said, with the Elway thing, I'm really irritated about that. And I could go into the Brady shtick, too. I could, make the argument that Brady isn't deserving of the list. But I know I get torn to shreds because Tom Brady is the Lord and Savior for everybody. So I'm just going to push that aside. And yes, with his accomplishments, he probably does deserve to be top 10. But, I could definitely make an argument that you could put a lot of other quarterbacks in his position, and they would be just as good, if not better. But all that aside, I just can't believe that they left a guy like Aaron Rodgers and a guy like Drew Brees off this list. Like, I don't understand it. But anyways, guys, though, I just wanted to rant a little bit about that. Really, I wasn't really expecting him to put him on there because I know that, especially with the previous list that they did, like they put, for the running backs especially, they left off Adrian Peterson and LaDainian Tomlinson. Like, how in the world do you do that? How in the world do you leave off those two guys? Like, I can't imagine, being a Chargers fan or a Vikings fan and seeing neither of those guys on the list. Like, I'd be extremely irritated. But yeah, when they didn't include guys like that, I kind of expected that they weren't going to include Rodgers. But it is what it is. Aaron Rodgers is still top 10 quarterback of all time to me, and even top 5, top 3 if you're going by talent. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Just wanted to get this rant out there. But if you have any thoughts or anything like that, leave them in the comment section below. Do you think Aaron Rodgers should be a top 10 quarterback of all time? Leave your response in the comment section below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Go Pack, go.